I regained consciousness to find myself in an unfamiliar place. A light was flickering above me. I was in some other room, in some other house. I took a good look around to see blood spattered all over the walls and the floor. At my feet was a horrifically mangled body. Most of the face was torn off the skull. But there was enough for me to see this corpse was Zeke. His one leg was bent the wrong way, while the other was missing. Both of his arms were gone, and there was a gaping hole where his heart should be. I wanted the torment to end. I despised Zeke, but at this moment, looking at his brutally mangled corpse, I was shaking violently to the point where I threw up onto the floor. I reached up to wipe the bad taste from my mouth, only to be touching my nose. And with really long nails, I looked at my hand to see I was wearing my demon glove, but it looked different. The skin looked more realistic. The nails were detailed. The palms were no longer black fabric, but black skin. I pulled back the sleeve to find the seam. To my utter shock, there was no seam. The glove was just continuing up my arm. I couldn't believe this. I had to still be dreaming. I began exiting the room, looking for the door outside. Each room I passed was either empty or had some kind of horrific massacre in it. I came to what seemed to be the bathroom and entered. Immediately I looked to the mirror. I was looking at the ghostly mask, but that was no eye holes. What was more disturbing, the mask was emoting. The mask was just making the exact same expressions I was. I unzipped my hoodie to see my bare chest and was horrified to see the colors from the gloves and mask were blurring together. There was no human colors, just red and gray. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I turned on the water, hoping a splash could wake me up. All it really did was just wash off blood. Blood that I was just now noticing. It didn't take long for me to piece it together. He was laying on the floor, brutally murdered by my hands. Not just him, but his family. I murdered a whole family. I couldn't take much more. I rushed through the house, looking for the exit. I managed to find the door that ran out, only barely noticing my surroundings. Before me was the road I took home from school, which, with all my strength in my legs, I hurried back home. As I continued down the road, my house came into view. I took a moment to catch my breath, my tired legs shivering from all the running. As soon as I recovered, I came closer to the door to find the door was just barely hanging on its hinges. The lights in the living room were flickering, just like in Zeke's house. I prayed that somehow my family was alright. Oh God, please let them be alright. I darted into the house to find what I feared did happen. My mom and dad laid together in a puddle of their own blood. Their heads smashed together. And their limbs missing. My sister was ripped in half. Her jaw just barely hanging to her face. I didn't even see what happened to the pets. And I consider myself lucky not to have. I stepped into the middle of the twisted scene and fell down to my knees. I could feel countless tears running down my face as I looked down at my clawed hands. It was all too obvious. Not only did I kill Zeke and his family, but I murdered my own family. The computer I was on earlier just flickered on by itself. To my shock, the screen showed Zix66's profile picture, but it took up the whole screen. The Facebook chat box came up, only it was red with black typing. Reluctantly, I approached the computer. You're looking good. And it seems you've been having fun. You did this? Actually, you did. When you touched the screen, you invited me to reach a side of you. What the hell do you mean? What side of me? Isn't it obvious? The side of you that nurtured itself from your growing rage. The side that felt every time you were picked on. The side that wants to murder. But my family, I never wanted to kill them. They were merely in the way. Your other side wanted so much to slaughter and mutilate, and your family was in the way of your enemy. I shivered so violently, an emotional wreck. It felt like hours trying to type the keys. What the hell are you? No one special, I assure you. Just a miracle worker of sorts. And my work here is done. With that, the screen shut itself off, and the living room light finally popped, leaving me in the darkness with what remained of my family. 5 years since that twisted day. Since then, I've burned down my home. It just felt like the right thing to do. I'm still trapped in this twisted form, living away from society. I've grown increasingly paranoid that the other will resurface and I murder more people. He's still there, waiting within me, waiting to kill.